L'Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
And welcome. It feels so good to say that to those of you who are here in our sanctuary. Welcome to those who are joining from live stream as we greet one another and we greet this new year. I'm fond of the teaching of Reb Nachman of Bratslav, who says that the year passes in the blink of an eye, and soon enough, you're back at the Yamim Noraim, the holidays. Well, these days, nothing has felt like it's been passing in the blink of an eye. Things have felt slow, perhaps plodding, a struggle. And yet here we are, after 2 years being back together in this space. What a blessing. And so we say, Gam ze ya'avor, this too shall pass, and it will, but that's also one of the messages of our holiday season. Gam ze ya'avor. So too our lives will pass, and so we take this time to stop and to think and to hold on to the blessings of our lives and to reflect on who we are, where we've been, and who we want to become. We're going to continue with words of Psalms. We lift our eyes to the mountains. We look for strength and help as the new year begins. We're on page 8.
Shir lema'alot Esa einai leharim Me'ayin yavo Ezri Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz Ayitain lamot raglecha Al yanum shomrecha Hine lo yanum Velo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilcha Al yad yeminecha Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka ve'yareach balayla Adonai yishmorcha mikora yishmor et nafshecha Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam Shir lema'alot Esa einai leharim Me'ayin yavo Ezri Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz Ayitain lamot raglecha Yanum shomrecha Hine lo yanum Velo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilcha Hayad yeminecha Yomam hashemesh לא יכך וירח בלילה, אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור על נפשך, אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם. Rabbi Micah and I are so honored to be joined once again on the Bima with Batya Illinois, rabbinical student at Hebrew College, sharing her voice with us now for the fourth year, along with Michael McLaughlin sharing his music on keyboard, 6 years. So it is just an amazing team that we have. And we are also honored at this moment to invite Barbara Zub, longtime partner rabbi of Rabbi Heng Zub, Emeritus of Temple Beth David, to bless our holiday candles, our New Year candles this evening. We are on page 11, and if you are joining us through live stream, hopefully you have by now found the link to our Machzor on our website. And again, we're on page 3.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvah v'tzivanu, l'hadlik ner shel Yom Tov.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Yom.
Adonai Elohim, והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. This is the season of the soul, a time to rejoice, a time to reflect, a time to return, a time to gather round the table with loved ones and friends, a time for song and silence, for prayer and confession to open the heart, a time to retreat to our sanctuaries within, a time to renew the life and spirit of our community. This is the season of attentiveness, a time to notice what has unfolded and what has not, a time to regret, a time to forgive, a time to remember cherished dreams and high ideals erased by reality. This is the season of hope, like mist rising at sunset, like dew descending at dawn. Our hopes beautify and nourish everything they touch. Our hopes make us partners in creation, pursuers of peace, people who aspire to a world of justice. This is the season of awe. When our eyes behold it, may we feel blessed. When we turn toward each other, let us feel strength. When we seek the holy, may we find purpose. May we find courage. May we find love.
Thank you, Josh, and we'll continue on page 15. At the new moon, at the full moon, for our feast day, sound the shofar. For that is the law of Israel, the way of the God of Jacob. Hallelu b'teka shofar, praise God with the blast of the shofar. Baruch atah Adonai, shomea kol truat amo Yisrael berachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people, Israel.
We're going to turn to pages 16 and 17, rise as we make our way before the ark for the Hineni prayer, as Batya begins to chant this prayer for all of us who are here to pray. I invite you to read along in the individual reflection on page 16.
הנני, אני עמימס, נרעשת ונפחדת, מפחד יושב תהילות ישראל. באתי לעמוד ולחנן לפניך, על עמך ישראל, אשר שלחוני, ואף אבי, שאיני חדית והגונה לכך. כן, אבקש ממך, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. אדוני, אדוני, הרחום וחנון, אלוהים שדי, איום ונורא, יהיה נא מצליח דרכי, אשר אני הולכת לעמוד, לבקש רחמים עליי ועל שולחי.
Here I am, so poor in deeds I tremble in fear, overwhelmed and apprehensive before you, to whom Israel sings praise. Although unworthy, I rise to pray and seek favor for your people Israel, for they have entrusted me with this task. Therefore, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, Adonai, Adonai, merciful, gracious God who inspires awe, I pray to you for success on my path. I pray for myself and my community. Do not hold them responsible for my wrongs and offenses. May my deeds cause them no shame, and may their deeds cause me no shame. And on page 19, we declare the new year. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu yehi ratzon shenizkei levirchotecha bishnat chameshet alafim shva me'od shmonim u'shtayim. Elohei olam barech otanu ve'et kol beit Yisrael b'chidush yameinu b'simcha u'v'shalom b'nechama u'v'ometz lev b'chilutz atzamot u'v'ruach etana. Yehi pri sfatenu mikubal v'ratzui milfanecha bifros Hashanah HaChadasha la'ad modim anachnu lach al matnat hachayim. Our God, God of our ancestors, may we know your blessing in the year 5782. Eternal One, bless us in the whole house of Israel with renewed life, peace and happiness, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. And we say together,
Amen.
May be seated, and it is also an honor to invite to our Bima now, before our call to prayer, our Temple Beth David President, Tim Holliner, to share a few words of New Year's greeting.
L'Shana Tova, welcome to Temple Beth David. Last spring, on a beautiful Friday evening, 9 remarkable young Temple members participated in their confirmation service. Remarkably, all 9 confirmands have decided to continue their Jewish education here at our temple. Our rabbis believe this is a first, not only for us, but for most Reformed congregations. I was impressed by the thoughtfulness, sophistication, and poise of their teaching. I couldn't help but be struck by their emphasis on community. It was central to all 9 Devar Torahs. Community has been a recurring theme here at Temple Beth David for as long as I can recall. Our culture values that sense of community highly, perhaps above all else. But community doesn't happen automatically. Membership isn't enough. To form and maintain a thriving community requires participation. I'd like to suggest some ways that we can participate. At a recent Temple President's Forum, a member recalled a speech by her Temple President from 35 years ago. He talked about the 3 Ds: davening, donating, and doing. These are the ways in which we can participate in building our community. For me, attending services, davening is the easy one. Coming together with other congregants to pray, sing, and in normal times to socialize after services is both spiritually and socially rewarding. Donating is another way to participate. You can support the temple financially through our Gifts from the Heart or Kesher campaigns, or by making a donation in honor of a person or event. You can also donate time, supporting the temple activities by joining sisterhood or brotherhood, attending temple events such as Shabbat dinners, inviting fellow congregants to celebrate Passover at your home, or any of the many other events that are held during the year. Then there's doing. This one takes the most effort, but for me, it is the most rewarding. Serving as a temple officer, on the board of trustees, or serving on one of the committees that keep the temple going are ways to foster community, make friends, and ensure that our community thrives. Without your participation, the activities that we enjoy just don't happen. I recently took a second look at this passage from our prayer book. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to what promise So that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. It is together that we can get there, a strong and growing community. So I ask you to consider increasing your participation in temple life with any or all of the Ds. I believe that you will find that doing so will enhance your own sense of being and belonging. So do it for the community or do it for yourself, but please do it. Lastly, I want to talk a bit about the past year and a half. COVID has forced us to adapt to ever-changing challenges. I believe that we have met that challenge. I'd like to quote from myself a bit here. This is my contribution to the latest bi-monthly shofar. So, I grew up in Brooklyn, 2.5 miles by bicycle and 3 stops on the subway from Coney Island. As a teenager, I went there with friends occasionally, and we would occasionally ride the 2 huge roller coasters, the Cyclone and the Tornado. I was never a huge fan. I think the problem for me was that I always knew what was coming. You could see the ups and downs, the big curves, etc. Then, when my children were old enough, we went to Disney World and rode Space Mountain. That was very different. It was in the dark. You had no idea what was coming next, since you couldn't see the tracks in front of you. I loved it. So here we are riding a Space Mountain roller coaster that we call COVID-19. Not so thrilling. But I think the analogy works. We have to be ready for the ups, downs, and curves that we are being thrown. So far, I think we have coped admirably, thanks to the strength of our community and the hard work of our lay leaders, and especially our incredibly talented and hardworking rabbis. Thank you all for helping us through this trying time. We still have a ways to go, but I am confident that we will continue to navigate the ups, downs, and curves that are coming our way if we march together. L'Shana Tova.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you to all our volunteers and lay leaders who make our community what it is. We rise now in body or in spirit for our call to worship on this Erev Shana.
Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please join with me in the English on page 22. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your great name fills the universe with majestic might. Your word creates twilight and dusk as your wisdom opens the gates of night. Your discernment separates the changing seasons and causes the passage of time. The stars arrayed across the sky reveal your design. You roll out the cycle of darkness and light, shaping day and night. You sweep away day and carry the world into nightfall, setting day apart from nighttime. You are God of all we can perceive and all that is beyond our perception. Living eternal God, be our sovereign to the end of time.
Elachai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai ha'ma'ariv ha'rav
continue on page 24 with this prayer that speaks of God's love for us.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. We'll continue on page 28 with these words from Torah. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Continue on page 33. Words that lead us into Mi Chamocha, our song of redemption and freedom.
To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart,
to break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect,
to break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy,
to break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's gifts,
to break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength,
to untie the knots of betrayal, to love with fullness of being,
to break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope,
to break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend a hand of help.
Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea.
And we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year.
We'll continue now on page 34.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אליי, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Continue on page 36 with Hashkivenu. As sun has set on the first evening of a new year, we pray for safety and shelter, that God's Sukkot Shalom, God's shelter of peace, will be spread over all of us. Our shelter here in our sanctuary, the shelters of our homes, extending all the way to Jerusalem and beyond. Pray for peaceful nights.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו ברגלינו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני
Turn now to page 40, and if you're able, we rise for Chatzi Kaddish, our prayer that will lead us into our Amidah, our central prayer.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה, אמן. בעלמא תברח חירותי, וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון ויומכון, ובחיי תכל בית ישראל. בגלה בזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יש ברמה וברך, לעולם ולעולמי יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי תקודשה בריחו לעילה ולעילה, מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעמה, ואמרו
Page 42. The words of our prayers must not fall off our lips like dead leaves in the autumn. They must rise like birds out of the heart into the vast expanse of eternity. We begin our tefillah with these opening words of meditation, praying that we may find the words in which to pray.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi agid teilatecha. Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi agid teilatecha. Oh, eternal God, open my lips. Let my mouth may declare your praise. Oh, eternal God, open my lips. Let my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, אתה אדוני, ברוך וברוך שמו, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ועובד חולים, ומעתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך מביט ומחיה, ומצליח ישועה. מי כמוך אב הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, ברוך וברוך שמו, מחיי הכל.
You may be seated. We continue on page 49. And so in your holiness give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear to reverence. Let us be witnesses of wonder. Perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive, we bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all-encompassing, your transcendent name. Page 52, you are holy, your name is awe. There is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. And we join together on page 53. You chose us with love to be messengers of mitzvot, and through us you made known your aspirations. Among all the many peoples, you gave us a pathway to holiness. Among all the great nations, you uplifted us and made yourself our sovereign. And so we seek you and serve you and celebrate our nearness to your presence. Your great and sacred name has become our calling. Page 54. Our God and God of generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness. Together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel, may we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of remembrance. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo letova, ufokdenu vo livracha, v'hoshienu vo l'chaim. Eternal our God, remember us, be mindful of us, and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Turn to page 62 as we join together in a blessing of gratitude. God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Please join me. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limits. We call you hope, now and for all time. For all these gifts, God of majesty, your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. Inscribe your covenant partners for a life of goodness, and may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. We take a few moments for silent prayer. Turn to page 60 and ask that all of our prayers are received.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Ve'amecha Yisrael U'tefilatam Be'ava Tikabel U'tehi l'ratzon Tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha El karov lecha karov b'nei avadecha v'choneinu Shafach ruchacha aleinu v'techazena eineinu v'shuvecha l'tzion
As we prepare for Avinu Malkeinu, we turn to page 75 and we continue responsively. We haven't forgotten Avinu Malkeinu, though we've overthrown kings and we disobey fathers, and we have no great liking for absolute power. Akiva stood before you in a time of drought, and his words went up like a flame on the altar. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our ruler. Avinu Malkeinu,
have compassion for us.
He was humble and forgiving, so his prayer was answered. Tonight we speak again in a time of drought, dry ground beneath us, no water, only rock.
Not a hunger for bread or a thirst for water, but hearts that are longing to hear God's voice.
For the sea of faith is all but gone, the tide's gone out on the empty beach. The world mocks our hopes and life tests our courage.
Why do the wicked live on and prosper? Why are you silent when they prey on the innocent?
And if your domain is kindness and justice, why is creation in so much pain? Avinu Malkeinu, sustain our souls, send rain to our roots, help us find a way to pray.
Make us humble and forgiving of ourselves and one another.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew these words, help us speak them with conviction and believe their truth. 100 generations have stood before the ark, and they lifted up their voices like flame on the altar, and they put their trust in kindness and justice, and they gave their strength to make the promise real.
Avinu Malkeinu, we haven't forgotten. Avinu Malkeinu, bring us back to you.
Page 76, please rise. We continue responsively. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, you alone are our sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, show us mercy.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us.
Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind.
Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'al ol aleinu, v'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kale dever, v'cherev v'ra'av, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kale kotzar u'mastin, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, chadesh aleinu, chadesh aleinu. Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu. Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu ma'asim. Asai banu tzedakah v'chesed. Asai
Please be seated. See, when you're as old as me and you wear progressives, you need just the right angle to see your words. Shana Tova. One thing that struck me about Temple Beth David when I was interviewing here 5 years ago is how much it feels like family. This first impression has stayed with me. Maybe it's our smaller size, maybe it's the cross-section of towns and our subsequent efforts to get to know one another. Maybe it's how our bright building facilitates gathering and connection. Maybe it's just that there are really kind and caring people here. I hope that the nearly 25 new families who have joined us this summer and the over 30 new students in our Shorashim Religious School will have the same impression that I did. For those of you who have been here a while, you may be familiar with a bit of an inside joke about past Temple President David Wang. David has the unique distinction of having served as Beth David's president for 3 years rather than the usual 2-year term. And he did this to help manage the rabbinic transition when Rabbi Micah and I arrived. When David was president, he would often recite the Shehechianu blessing, the primary Jewish blessing over new experiences and joyful moments. There were many firsts and joyful occasions that year for the community and your new rabbis. And David never let one go by without offering this blessing and reminding the rabbis to recognize another Shehechianu moment. With somewhat humorous frequency, David taught us all an important lesson. The Shehechianu blessing has been recited by Jews for nearly 2,000 years as a way to express our thanksgiving to God for life. The rabbis of the Talmud taught that we say this blessing when doing or experiencing something that happens infrequently, from which one derives pleasure. It is a blessing about being aware and delighting in the moment. This includes the beginning of a holiday, as we recited earlier in our service tonight, and hearing the shofar, as we will do tomorrow morning. We say Shehechianu when we sit in the sukkah, read the Megillah, and light candles on Hanukkah. This prayer is recited upon the birth of a child, a bar bat mitzvah, a wedding, and a conversion. If we build a new house or purchase new dishes or new clothes, the Talmud teaches we also recite Shehechianu. In the modern sense, the blessing is also said at any important milestone: a child's first steps, getting a driver's license, retirement, and special anniversaries. Rabbi Nina Beth Cardin writes, "A blessing is an act of transformation. Through our words, the world is brushed with the sacred. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, for giving us life, sustaining us, and bringing us to this moment." If your head is in a similar place as mine, perhaps you are finding it hard to say Shehechianu this year. Let's face it, the new year does not feel so joyful. Who could have imagined that the moment would feel like this? How many of us thought back in June, this is it, the light at the end of a long and dark tunnel, fully vaxxed and ready to go out. Yet here we are with masks back on, many watching services from home, recalculating the level of risk we are all willing to take and dialing back more of our hopes and plans. None of us could have imagined or prepared for this colossal upset in our lives. Although it is the season of return, we have not fully returned. We feel sad and disappointed, perhaps angry, perhaps anxious. We might even think that we don't need the high holidays this year. We've already spent the last year and a half contemplating life and death, reflecting on what is truly essential, and finding ways to anchor ourselves in a world that is spinning out of control. And yet, there is something deeply powerful about this yearly Jewish ritual. There is comfort in the familiarity of prayer and melody, challah with raisins and apples dipped in honey. We are in it together, as Tim Hollander taught us earlier, even though we are still not all together. We talk about what we will do when the pandemic is over, but we know that there will only be a new normal. We have learned how to pivot, stretch, and bend. Here is where I think we can draw from Jewish tradition. The beauty of Jewish tradition is our ability to straddle the ancient and the new. As Jews, we have always adapted to our surroundings and times. Rosh Hashanah is about birth, renewal, awakening, and awareness. Rosh Hashanah affirms the uncertainty of it all. Our New Year rituals invite us to let go of our attempts to control our lives and to focus on our relationships and our presence in this new year of 5782. As Jews, we say Shehechianu anyway. There is a story about Rabbi Israel Spira of Blushov in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. In order to light the Hanukkah candles, someone had saved a bit of fat from a meal. Another provided a string of clothing for the wick, thus making the first night of Hanukkah possible. The rabbi chanted the first blessing over the candles. He recited the second blessing over the miracle. Then he paused, looked around, and recited the third blessing, the Shehechianu. A fellow inmate stopped him and asked, "Rabbi, how could you thank God and say, 'Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has kept us alive and preserved us and enabled us to reach this season? We are surrounded here by suffering, darkness, and death." The rabbi answered, "I too hesitated before reciting this blessing. And then I looked around at the faces of so many faithful, living Jews standing in devotion to perform the mitzvah of lighting the Hanukkah candles. Hanukkah itself is about finding light in dark times," he said. "In the midst of destruction and suffering, there is light and hope. And I decided that this too is a Shehechianu moment." Today, we are also barraged with destruction, division, suffering, and challenge. We all know that with this pandemic, there have been many lost Shehechianu moments. Yet, amidst loss and disappointment, Judaism affirms that we can find joy and recognize blessings. Think back on the year. There have been new babies, new B'nai Mitzvah, new marriages, new house projects, new ways of being together, new ways of being apart, new hobbies, new traditions. My colleague and friend, Rabbi Sarah Mack, writes, "Shehechianu is about celebrating the light in the middle of the tunnel, when we don't know when the light at the end of the tunnel will come. The Talmud teaches that one who sees a friend after 30 days, 1 month of not having seen him, recites the Shehechianu blessing. And one who sees his fellow person after not seeing them for a year recites, "Blessed are you, Adonai, who revives the dead." Mechaye hametim. What can we learn from this? One, that being apart from our loved ones is really hard. And two, Jewish tradition expresses such profound gratitude for life that we literally say to another person after not seeing them, "Thank God you're alive." I admit that I am a fan of ritual. I find ritual comforting. Familiar words and actions provide structure and purpose to the endless flow of time. Jewish tradition teaches that we should aim to recite 100 blessings a day. Shehechianu is a good place to start. Scholar Vanessa Oakes writes, "In the land of Jewish, there is, in fact, no moment that goes by when there is not some formal Jewish way to behave, interact, mark, respond, bless, and reflect." Rabbi Lawrence Hoffman's teaching around ritual speaks to me. He writes, "Without ritual, there would be no meaningful use of time. It arranges our life into relatively small packages of moments that matter. Rituals should be viewed as one of the ways in which human beings get at ideas that matter. Picture a package," he says, "composed of a gift being packaged and some wrapping paper doing that packaging. By analogy, we can imagine how ideas get wrapped by ritual." Can you picture it? We all like receiving gifts. Picture the anticipation of unwrapping that paper to discover what is inside. Similarly, our rituals lovingly wrap the special moments in our lives. Hoffman continues, "Ritual is not just self-satisfying fluff, smells and bells and blessings and holding hands and eyes glazed over and closed off minds. It should be the means to a new kind of truth, a multimedia package that shapes ideas even as it delivers them, an emotional and intellectual form of engaging people in their common future. Good ritual follows a script and gives everyone a part. In other words, ritual brings us together in important moments. Rituals like this moment of Rosh Hashanah, like this first Shehechianu of 5782, create and elevate holiness." As I conclude tonight, let us consider the 3 core ideas that are wrapped in this one single blessing, Shehechianu. 1, Shehechianu, for giving us life. 2, V'kiyamanu, for sustaining us. And 3, V'higianu lazman hazeh, for bringing us to this moment. These 3 essential ideas, 3 essential questions will accompany us as we enter this High Holy Day season. How do we make life-affirming choices and be thankful for the blessings in our lives? What are the sources of life that sustain us and help us through our days? And lastly, even though it may feel like we haven't fully arrived in this joyful moment in time, how can we be mindful of the gift of time that has been given us? How will we say Shehechianu anyway? We have been granted life. We have been sustained. We have arrived in the new year of 5782. I pray that we can be ever mindful of these gifts. Over the next 10 days, Rabbi Micah and I will look forward to unwrapping this package of the new year with you and reflecting deeply on the core message that is inside this gift of life. Please join Batya in offering these sacred and comforting words once more. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehecheyanu, V'kiyamanu, V'higianu, Lazman Hazeh.
Amen. Shekacheh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. To life and to life and to life. To life, to life, to life, l'chaim. I wanna hold on to this moment now, l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah
Speaking of l'chaim, it's time to make kiddush and sanctify this New Year day. Will Krasnow is joining us from home, I trust, and he's the one who should be holding this kiddush cup. We know, Will, you'll be singing it loud and proud from your living room, so send some of that spirit and ruach and your passion and your voice into our sanctuary, and next year you'll be back here, God willing. In the meantime, allow me. Page 79. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am veromemanu mikol lashon v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava Yom hazikaron hazeh Yom teruah mikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki vanu vacharta veotanu kidashta mikol hamim udvarcha emet v'kayam le'ad Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael. Veyom hazikaron. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
The Manischewitz that's been in the refrigerator for a long time since we haven't had oneg, it ages really well.
We're going to
It's nearly vintage vinegar.
Again, to those who are here, welcome back, and we're glad many of you are joining us from home. Really, a lot of folks have not been here, so you look great. Might be the first time you've worn suits, in a while. So. All right, we're going to move into Aleinu L'Shabeach, our concluding prayers for this evening service, page 82. If you're able, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
We continue on page 89. The light of life is a finite flame. Like our sacred candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance, and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. We hold in our hearts all of our loved ones, those who died in recent days, those who died at this high holiday season in years past, those whom we remember standing next to us and around our holiday table. We thank God for the gift of their life and their memory. We join together on page 90. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah, be'almad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, bagalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shemed kudsha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'almaya v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al Yisrael ve'imru. Amen.
You may be seated. Just a few brief announcements. First, some words of gratitude. Thank you so much once again to Debbie Kraft for offering the prayer that she presents before our congregation in the form of these amazing flowers. Her spirit comes through, and I know when I look at them, my spirit is uplifted, as I know yours is as well. Especially want to thank Lisa Altman for arranging all of our honors throughout the high holidays. Blessing is being back together. The challenge is, of course, that we're all monitoring our own comfort level and risk, and things are constantly changing. So Lisa has pivoted on a dime throughout the holidays. Thank you, Lisa. Amy Cook for so much that she does behind the scenes, especially with making sure that we all know what we're supposed to be doing when through partnering with Rabbi Karen on so many temple communications and the website. Our president, Tim Hollander, our entire board of trustees, we are grateful to partner with you and to make sure this community is what it is through your leadership, and we thank you. We're really grateful to Roberto for all of his hard work every day of the year, especially on the high holidays, and the entire...
And he spaced out all these chairs and then respaced them again, and did an amazing job. So.
You know, and Roberto, he is just as much a member of this community as we all are, and he loves this place and supports our tradition, and we love him for that. We're also so grateful for our entire temple staff, which includes Leah Graff and Leslie Tamarkin in the office, and it's so exciting to be able to say this as well. Our Shalom Corner Early Learning Center director, Lynn Kaminsky, who, in addition to being a longtime temple lay leader and friend and congregant, is now a colleague, and that's wonderful. Of course, so grateful to Michael and to Batya. You will not be receiving a paper bag on your way out to fill with food. This year, our tzedakah in the form of food will be through monetary donations. Nadi is still leading the charge on this. They may have some flyers for you to take with you. Look at your high holiday communications. There are links for Family Table, the Food Bank of Greater Boston, and Project Bread, and you can do a special link donation for our Temple Beth David mini walk for hunger, which is October 17th. So please do give. There are so many people in need this season, even though you're not bringing your groceries. Our dollars actually go farther, so please do give, and we'll remind you to do so. The early service tomorrow morning begins at 8:45. You know who you are if you're going there because you've already registered. And at 11:15 for the late morning service Again, you've already registered for that as well. We're streaming throughout the holidays, both services. 3 p.m. is the Yeladim service. 3:30 in the parking lot in front of the Beit Simcha. That's all we're going to tell you for now.
And you can still sign up for our outdoor services if you'd like. So our children's services in the afternoon. Second day Rosh Hashanah, with the weather looking great, we'll be outside as well. And thank you to all of our ushers who are volunteering. This is our last announcement as one of the ways to hopefully help our safety, with gratitude to our Temple's Reopening Task Force as well. The ushers will yell at you, and not yell, but gently nudge you to head out. We're not congregating in the hallways.
But congregate outside.
You can congregate outside, and so we will end our service and hopefully see you here or through live stream in the morning. We're going to conclude on page 94 with Adon Olam, and as we like to say, sing it loud and sing it proud. Shana Tova. A good and sweet new year.